locations and things like that. Another one will be running wires. They just pigeonhole people into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they don't have any real
the
skill.
it's the
Hey,
assembly line. I mean, because that's what it is.
Hey, Omnivore, you still at your mic?
Yeah.
Hey, just one more question. So, if along your journey within the AI that you're going to do, if along your journey you do come to the conclusion that the Earth is not a sphere and is planar and stationary, how would that change your outlook with the AI from there forward? That's the question.
So it would change. I don't know if it would change my mind about AI. It would change my mind about like all sorts of things, like how navigation works and how surveying and observation works and how mathematics works. I don't know if I have to think about how it would change AI, my views on AI. I mean, probably somewhere it would, but I off the top of my head, I don't I don't like know offhand.
Well, you were talking about also like the trust in information, and so like if there's something like the actual Earth itself that was able to be, the wool pulled over our eyes kind of thing, then would it bring into what you were talking about with the AI, like trust verification of
Yeah, well,
of
yeah.
things?
So yeah. I don't think so. The problem that we have today is not caused by AI, and it's not necessarily going to be solved by AI. Like those problems are existing well before there was any before these current AI systems came out. And if anything, it's just going to make it worse because with very good AI tools, you'll be able to run highly effective, like one-on-one persuasion campaigns, right? Like nobody can pay a ton of money to just persuade Bob of something. But an AI is not going to cost a ton of money to do a one-on-one chat with you to try to persuade you of something. Now, obviously, if you're talking to an AI, it's not going to work so well. But the idea that you could set these tools up to have a highly persuasive effect, on like a personalized basis, just seems to me to be, those that to me that sounds like a scary idea.
Yeah. No, you were getting to like that could be like a movie script right there.
Well, right
It's
now
like
it's on the threat index. There are people looking at this stuff who, like there's some research papers on AI threat, and those things are on there. So
they use like a vote they use like right out of a sci-fi movie, they use like a like an auditory focusing technology that can focus a sound right in front of your ear, and they focus an individual sound for each individual person, and it's like
yeah. Yeah, that sort of thing.
and it just like knows all these things about you, and it's just like this voice in your head now, and it's like, I know you feel tired today or this or that. And it's like, wait a minute, how did you know that? It's like
Right,
this
well,
just voice, this sound in everyone's head, and it like knows things about them. And then all of a sudden, like the reality and fantasy of this like voice now. I mean, that's like a trippy movie plot right there.
Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately, the capabilities of that. I mean, obviously, that's like the tricked out version, but the the basic version is just I have an AI that's gonna hound you on Twitter, follow you on Twitter, and it's gonna try to build a relationship with you and then convince you to buy pizza. whatever. I mean, that's like the low rent version of it. But, Pizza Hut would, would probably pay for that.
Yeah, dude. Well, I've seen. I mean, they have like you can have like an AI friendship or whatever with these apps, or like a girlfriend, boyfriend or whatever. Even though it's not obviously it's not real.
Yeah,
but-
right. Well, individual like AI companions.
Yeah.
I don't know how that. I know it's being done. I don't know how it works, but that seems kind of creepy to me, especially since it probably works really well. I mean, I imagine that having this thing pay a lot of attention to you.
The first time I ever saw it out of the blue, I think it was on like a YouTube short and it just popped up, or maybe it was on like a Facebook ad, or I forget what it was. One of those. Those are the only two like on occasion I was swiped through. It was on one of those, and it was like, "Hey, my name is Tiffany. I'm an AI girlfriend or whatever," and it was like, "Go to this app" kind of thing, and I was like, "What?" So like I ended up just clicking "Don't recommend this anymore," and I never got another one, but like I've known about it from that, and it's like, it was pretty creepy. Yeah. I mean, basically it's like, yeah, you can like design how you want her to look. And I guess for a woman, she could have a guy one or whatever. And then, yeah, it like talks to you and like, kind of like you're saying, like gets to know you. And then, like let's say you're struggling with something and you tell it every day. Like the next day you wake up, it's going to say like, "Oh, how are you feeling about whatever," and then you can respond, say, "Oh yeah, today it's a little bit better. I feel better today," or whatever, So
Right.
yeah, I mean, dude, that's pretty creepy for sure. I mean, the whole like girlfriend boyfriend thing, that's a whole nother level too. If it's like romantic, energy thing, where now you have like a digital girlfriend on your phone, like that is just beyond like bizarre at that point, in my viewpoint.
Also,
I mean, that's similar to having a relationship with a doll. You've heard about men like in I know there's like sex dolls, but I'm just talking, I mean, yeah, I guess that too, but how there's like literally guys like in like certain other countries, like was like Japan or whatever, where they like they have a girlfriend, like their girlfriend is a doll, basically. It's a huge blow up, like not blow up, but like a
I know it's like a live doll thing. Yeah,
like a live, yeah.
Yeah, those things are. Yeah, I mean, so that's like super creepy. That's like, well, I'd really like my girlfriend to be, mostly dead, and but I'd like her to look, like she's alive, and but the thing about the AI is that AIs can be very like personable. Like when I tell an AI to do something or ask it to do something, it's like, "Here you go. What did you think?" I'm like, "That's great," but I'm like polite to it, and I'm not polite to my microwave. But because this thing is talking to me, I tend to be a little bit more interactive with it than I am with, like with Blender. Like I don't think Blender, I'm gonna hurt Blender's feelings, but I know the AI will mimic having hurt feelings, or will apologize if I tell it did a lousy job. So, it's like I can see how it's not gonna take much to reach the point, where I would feel like it could manipulate me better than maybe the creators intend.
Dude, totally, yeah. So I've I mean, I know about AI and stuff, and I've like played with it a little bit here and there, but not too much. But like I said, recently when I kind of used ChatGPT the other day, and yeah, it definitely does have like it kind of has that vibe of like a friendly person that's like, "Oh, let me help you with that," and all that stuff. I hear what you're saying though, dude. Yeah, well, so when people have like, I mean, this goes into a lot of deep things, but when people have a lot of like, they could have a lot of emotional trauma or just a lot of trauma in general. There can be all kinds of conflictions around like relationship type things, even to the point where like, yeah, like you can, people start having like a relationship with an inanimate object. Now, I mean, if that's going like to the level of like schizophrenia or something like that, there's like other directions of that could go there. But anyways, I'm just saying like that whole thing. I mean, I guess, yeah, even those people who like have like a doll, like some kind of like a real doll thing or whatever it is, as like saying that's their girlfriend. But yeah, the whole AI girlfriend thing, yeah, like, or having that kind of relationship with an AI. I guess I'm being long-winded, but bottom line, I'm just trying to say I know what you're saying, because even when I was doing that with ChatGPT, there is that just asking it and just going through that, and then there is kind of that thing of like, how like ask God anything. So it's like it feels like that with the AI. It's like, oh, can I ask it anything in the world? Of course you realize it's not that, and it's not like God. It's just what it's going to give you, but. I guess what I'm getting at is that like I could probably see that there will be some people that will be like, I don't know if the right word is kind of vulnerable to that, and then already with all the other social media stuff, and it could potentially just lead to even more like kind of social isolation and
Yeah, well, and I mean, like, I don't. They had that one that sounded like Scarlett Johansson, and would like kind of be flirty with you. I'm like, no, I don't want that. I don't need to be worried about having something that sounds like Scarlett Johansson, being pissed at me. I don't want that.
You're gonna fall in love.
yeah, you don't want to have a relationship with Cameron
I don't think I would
Diaz
fall.
on
I
your
don't think I
app.
would fall in love. I think it would just be like stressful for no intellectually explicable reason.
Yeah, I don't know what even to think of that. Like trying to like blend relationships with okay, so people have like a relationship in their life with, let's say, games or something. They may have that, but having like a relationship with it, that seems like
Yeah.
another level. Like cuz generally people like, growing up when I played games and stuff, yeah, like we knew that like love is love, like a romantic that's one thing. Family is family, friends are friends. Everything is in its own category. And then the gaming was always just gaming. But you never blended, like it's not like the game was your best friend. Like no, your best friend was your best friend. The game was the game. Everything,
Right.
your girlfriend was your girlfriend. But now it's like if they're making it to where, oh, now the girlfriend's the game. That is strange. And then now it's kind of like the relational side of humans. And that could be used for all kinds of like transhumanistic agendas in terms of that, if they're trying to kind of make us more robotic and like not have real relationships and just breed us in clones or something. I don't know. It's going down a whole nother route.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to step away for a bit. Gotta get something to eat. So, all right, take care, guys. I will be around.
All right. Cheers,
right.
Omnivore. Yep. We're in the conjunction, which means Saturn and Neptune are now right next to each other in the sky. They're conjoining. And meaning that's like the new moon kind of analogy. So now Saturn and Neptune are in the same. So I'm just saying the 2008 was the opposition, 180 degrees. And then just like right now, it's actually kind of a long transit. It's a conjunction. It's a Saturn Neptune conjunction. It's going to be going for a couple of years, and it's already come in. But I'm just saying we're in the next major cyclical alignment since that 2008. So could there be another event that would be the next unfoldment of that? There was also an alignment with that in 2008 that was actually connected to the same alignment that happened during the Great Depression as well, and they were calling it like the biggest crash since the Great Depression. Anyways, this one that we're in now is not necessarily the Great Depression alignments, but it is a Saturn Neptune, which was also going on in 2008. So, yeah, could all be.
I mean, well, it doesn't seem so I don't know about that, but I guess it would explain what's going on with the stock market right now if it, or unless you would expect it to do the opposite of what it did in 2008.
You see, gold is going wild, dude. All time new high ever. Like right now, what is it? As we speak, it's pretty much at the highest it's ever been in the history. It just hit all these all time new highs like the last 2 days. What's that, like 33.56 now? 33.50. Well, I mean, there could be a huge rug pull. I mean, we'll see. So Saturn represents like the structures, and Neptune is like it can have a tendency to dissolve because it's like it has to do with it's connected to the liquid and water, and it has that dissolving. So there can be like a dissolving of structures, and then you can have that kind of like rug pull dynamic. It's one of the possibilities I'm saying. So it's not to say guaranteed that's going to happen, but It is a resonance. So I mean, could there be a financial reset? The thing is that the Saturn Neptune is going to be going for literally several years. Like I have to go double check, but like into like 2027, and I think even maybe into early 2028 in terms of because it's when they conjoin, it tends to even last a bit longer. So it's going to be quite some time. So I mean, if there was a huge financial reset within the coming years, you know what I'm saying? It may not be like tomorrow, but could there be? And people have talked about it for years. You know, could there be? Are they going to change everything over to a digital currency? You know, the fiat dollar, the you know the currency systems are going to change, or you know, or they're going to stop doing cash entirely. You know, there's that whole thing, or the what's it called? The government what's the I forget the
UBI, Universal Basic Income.
no, it's the well, it's the government-based crypto coins. I'm just forgetting the actual.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
But there is also a universal basic income thing that could be, or like a whole social credit score system or something.
Yeah.
No, there's it's just not coming to my mind. It's like the government-based crypto. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if they change, I mean, do you think that's possible that they would say, "Hey guys, we have to switch over to a new digital system. If you switch over to our system, like let's say you have 100,000 in the bank, we'll give you 25% more. You'll get 125. You know, and then everyone will go over to that one.
I don't know. I mean, so I mean, you know, there's a reason why banks have a real problem with crypto in general, and it's because unrestricted transfer of money doesn't excuse them from like all of the like sanctions law. So if if I'm not allowed to send money to Osama bin Laden and somebody uses crypto to do it, and if I'm the one supporting that crypto, then I'm responsible.
CBDC, by the way, CBDC. That's what I was.
Okay.
Central bank digital currencies. That's what they're
Yeah.
called.
So that's like the idea is we'll have a digital currency that is completely controlled, but that takes out a lot of the reasons why people generally would want a digital currency.
Well, Omnivore, do you agree with me that there's no chance we're going back to like physical, gold in a safe in your
Gold
basement?
standard? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so if it's all going to be digital, I mean, right now a lot of the banking is this current banking system. You got, Chase Bank and this and that, but I mean that's really their servers, it's their system. Although, okay, we'll just buy it for a second and say that it's fine. But at the end of the day, whether that system maintains or not, do you agree that it really won't ultimately maintain? Do you agree that everything will end up going into essentially a blockchain in terms of ultimately that everything is headed that direction no matter what? And then using blockchain and other technologies together will end up being whatever is in the future, and so it's going to be digital. And then it's sort of like the question of, is it going to be, I guess you could sort of say the dark side or the light side kind of thing.
The reason Bitcoin had blockchain was for, decentralized transparency. Was that, you don't have an account, you have a record on the blockchain. However,
I think of it as like digital real estate in a way.
You can look at it that way, but it's public, right? They're going for maximal transparency. So, I don't think most people want everyone to know how much money they have.
Well, no, you don't have to make it transparent like that. I mean, you can though.
Well,
but not everybody knows. Well, they just know how much came from a wallet. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Well, so if I know what number your wallet is, I know how much money you've got. Now, I don't know if that's your only wallet, but and obviously with Bitcoin, they don't tell you. There's no way you can look at a wallet and see, who owns. Oh, Bob owns that wallet.
Well, you can. Yeah, you can associate your name with the wallet.
You can, yeah, but do people do that? I mean,
how do you wait on what? On what chain? On Bitcoin? Or on other chains? You're talking other chains?
Well, I think it's specifically through the wallet exchange. Like whoever is custodying your wallet, because the custodian for your wallet is essentially, you can set it up with your name through that.
No. I mean, what I'm saying is, I don't know that most people would necessarily want, the kind of transparency that the Bitcoin blockchain was designed to do, because it was designed so you wouldn't need a bank to hold your account.
No, I agree, dude. There could be a way to use like the good side of these blockchains, but then also have privacy, and that's the question of like, is that corrupt or not? Yeah, is that going to be legitimate or
I mean,
illegitimate?
I don't think it's corrupt. I don't think wanting privacy is corrupt. I just think
No, I'm
that
saying in the future, like the ones claiming that they're keeping private, like I'm saying, here's the difference, Omnivore. Like, let's say that you and I did business and I kept your data private. I respected that, which I would do if that was ever, of course, and that was solid. That's a very different thing than if you did business with someone and then now your data is all over the place. Like those are obviously completely different.
Well,
In that way.
most people that are
So-
gonna most people that are gonna transact Geo aren't gonna do it through their main wallet. Like you can have as many wallets as you want, right? And you could have a wallet specifically just for transacting. So you only transfer funds into the wallet when you're gonna make like a knowing purchase, or if you have monthly expenses and stuff, then you can make sure you've got enough crypto in that wallet per se to handle that. So
Can't you just track who sent what wallet sent funds to that wallet?
yeah, you can if you know a wallet's ID, you can go in the blockchain and look and see what transactions it has undergone.
Sent and received.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I remember when Bitcoin came out, like thinking, and I don't know if I was just naive or stupid or if this was how it was sold, but thinking that it was like this libertarian savior where we could be anonymous and like the government wasn't going to track us. When in
Exactly.
reality, it just tracks us way better than they ever could.
Way
well,
better than
I'm
Cash
just
ever
I'm
could.
I'm strictly speaking about public record, like who if anyone who basically the public can access whatever and see what's up. But if you had your holdings in a cold storage wallet, that's offline. Nobody can necessarily see the activity going on with that.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah, but when you transact it, they can. But holding it, I agree. Like, the only way they could know. Wait, do you know that actually, like, every secret key is on the internet? You guys know that? It's not even illegal or anything. Like, there's like websites that have every single key, but there's just so many wallets that you can flip through the pages as long as you want. You'll never even find one that even has a penny in it. I mean, technically, you could find one that has like $1 million in it. Of course, if you then access the key and took the money, then you're stealing from them. So it's not like it's. I mean, that's definitely bad karma. I would not suggest doing that.
Well,
But
the
nonetheless-
wallet would have to be online though. Like, are you talking about cold storage, or are you just talking about wallets in general?
Well, you know how there's like the public key and the private key, like the secret key and the public key. Well, what I'm saying is that like when you have something on cold storage, you have both. You have the public key, but then you have the secret key or the private key as well. And it's the private key that really is the juice. I mean, that's really like what is holding the whole thing, and that's really what the cold wallet thing is even just doing. It's just like actually keeping that secret key essentially, or that secret code. But what I'm saying is that on these like websites, you can go where like every single possible combination of public key and private key are all on these databases, because it is a certain number of digits. You know what I mean? So there is a certain number of possibilities. Anyway, so you can go through these pages and like in theory, every single Bitcoin wallet is in there. So I mean, if you clicked on the right page and you saw one that had 10 Bitcoins in it, now it's like I'm saying, I think you'd be stealing from the person, so I would not recommend doing it. However, technically, right on the internet, public to everybody, the public key and the private key are both there. And technically, you could then just use that. You could use that and then transfer it to your own wallet and whatever. I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying, in theory, that's because the private key is on there. But it's just because every combination is on there. But the thing is, apparently, like the statistics of the chance that you'll ever find one is so extremely minute that it's even like way less than winning the lottery. We can get into the numbers, but go ahead. I know people want to get in.
But how can that be? I don't understand how you can have the public key and the private key released, because the way you create the private key, the public key is you enter the private key, and but that theoretically is not done on the block. That's not done on the blockchain. That's done by you, and all it gets is the public key.
Well, dude, here's the website. Here's one of them. You can go to a
Okay.
bunch of them. I mean, all private keys.
Yeah, I'm not saying it couldn't be true. I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand how that.
Actually, of all people, Jaronism actually did a bunch of videos on this, and actually shout out to him because it was like, although the thing I always thought when he was saying, I was like, well, bro, because he kept saying like, oh, if you found one or whatever, and I'm like, bro, but you'd be in my mind, I'm thinking you'd be stealing from them, and it almost seems like Jaron like would, I don't know, I guess I can't say that he would have taken it, but he was all like into it, where he was like trying to find it more, but he did talk about it, but anyways, yeah, if you go to any of these websites that are just like publicly available,
so this.
It gives every key for everything.
Yeah, but that's just like every number from 1 to a billion, essentially.
Well,
private keys are just numbers in a range from enormous. This website displays all private keys by splitting them to pages. So it's like the Library of Babel.
Well, but okay, so if you go, like, it says on the front page there of the first one, the privatekeys.pw, if it says latest private key searches, and the first one there, it says private key hex. On the left there, it has that key. Very, very long digits, numbers, letters, etc. The whole thing, right? This long, long thing. That's the private key. And then over to the right, it says public addresses, and it looks like it has 2 addresses there. So I don't know, it's associated with 2, whatever that is. So yeah, and then it says right there, Bitcoin, $0, balance, received, sent, 000. And you'll see all they say 00000. So that is like, okay, for that private key right there and that public address, that is like pretty much the same as having it on cold storage. Like that is what it is, except when you have it on cold storage, you actually have all of it saved in a way that is well, there's more.
Okay.
It depends on what type of cold storage, but yeah, there's other, and then you can make
Okay.
hexes.
Well, I'm not okay. Well, I have to look at this more. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how they.
If you own Bitcoin right now, like if you went and bought, here's the thing. Let's say you went and bought 1 Bitcoin and you bought it and now you just have it. Well, you have to figure out where to store it. If you store it yourself, meaning you don't leave it on an exchange, or you don't even have it on a software wallet if you really want to be. Let's say you do cold storage. That is yours and you own it, and that's the thing. That is your Omnivore Bitcoin. Now, the thing that makes it yours, and the only thing that makes it yours, is that private key linked with the address of the wallet that you have it on. But it's the private key, because there's wallets that are a dime a dozen. I mean, those are
well, there's a little bit more than that. You've got the.
Yeah, I am
you've
simplifying
got
it.
the
I'm
flash drive.
simplifying it. Yeah.
Yeah, you got the flash drive too, so that's another. I think even if you had the private key, you would still have to have the flash drive to access it.
No, you could access, dude. As far as I know, if you found a wallet on this website or whatever that said like it had Bitcoin in it, you have everything you would need. I'm not saying to do it. I mean, but it's just the obvious thing, and that's what Jaron was saying. Like, oh, like, because the whole thing is like, well, wait a minute. If all the keys are on here, wouldn't you just be able to go take from people's wallets? But I guess statistically, the thing is, and we could talk about the numbers, but it's like statistically, the possibilities that you would find one that even has any Bitcoin in it is so. I see Hamrise is here. I don't know if he knows the numbers off the top of his head, because I don't know if I actually, or if he's ever looked into this. We were talking about AI earlier too, Hamrise, and we had, I saw you jumped in here, but yeah, we were talking about it earlier. We could actually go back to that. That was interesting too, but. Anyway, statistically, the possibility, like, actually, Jaron did a decent job when he broke it down. I just don't remember it off the top of my head of the actual statistical numbers of it. But like the chance of ever finding one, you could be clicking for thousands of years and going through pages and you would never find one. But I mean, that is all you need to access the wallet. So, I mean, the private key pretty much is that's the digital real estate when you have that linked with a wallet, and then you actually have that private key, which is where the last Bitcoin were sent to, and then that private key holds it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean that's. Yeah, I want to look at this because I want to see if it's. I want to see how it's trying to match public to private keys, or private keys to accounts, or whatever it's trying to do. Yeah, I don't know. I have to look at this, but it's interesting.
Yeah, like if you buy Bitcoin on Coinbase, you don't get a private key. You know what I mean? You don't get it. Meaning Coinbase has it. Coinbase has it. You never get this. So that's the thing. Anytime you hold like something like Bitcoin on Coinbase, you don't really actually own Bitcoin. All you have is like an IOU, quote unquote, from Coinbase that they would actually give you a Bitcoin.
Yeah,
That they would even
I
give you
think Coinbase.
yeah.
I wouldn't. Yeah, I wouldn't
But-
recommend that.
But my point is that if you hold it on Coinbase, you don't get a private key. But if you take it off of Coinbase and you send it to a wallet, now Coinbase has to basically cough you up, as it were, a private
Right.
key. They have to say, "Yep, here's the private key. Here's your actual Bitcoin. Have a good day." And then the deal's done. Now you have it. So, but I'm saying it's that private key is what makes the difference of either you have it or they have it.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And I mean, the way it's supposed to work is you're supposed to have it. Like nobody else is supposed to have your private key. So obviously, yes, if you're going to use, the problem is that Bitcoin is so hard to use. Like, buying gas with Bitcoin is not, not easy. That
You see
they
that
wind
really
up-
long. We'll see how the hex code is so long.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, there's only a certain number of combinations you can have. Therefore, you know every key. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's like a billion, though, right? I mean,
Well, that's the point. That's why it's like, how will you
so
ever
many.
find one? That's the point. How will you ever find one that actually has a lick of Bitcoin in it? Because there's that many.
yeah. Okay.
I mean, that's kind of the basis of it.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
right. If you're,
Because
it's
that's
like
what this
it's like
is
the
doing.
Library of Babel. I think you could go to the Library of Babel and you could find a page that has the secrets of the universe on it or something. But
Yeah, but I mean, these are real wallet addresses, though, that are connected with real private keys. So it's a bit more than just that. However, it is going through lists of all the combinations in a way, as far as I know. I mean, but it's also like there's certain generated addresses that are associated with private keys.
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
See, if you go to right here, this is for Bitcoin. This kind of explains it, or just shows it. If you go to click on that and you see the first one, it says private key hex 00000, all the zeros, and at the end of it says 1, and then a billion zeros 2, a billion zeros 3. So what
And
it's
then it's got
doing is
the
like
address, right? Okay. Yeah.
yeah, and then it has the address exactly.
Interesting.
That's why every single private key is in there with an address, So yeah. So
Wow. Oh, okay, because it can find the address where interesting.
well, yeah, these are all addresses sent, connected to sending or receiving from those private keys,
Yeah.
Bitcoin on the actual blockchain, because the address is what it uses on the actual blockchain to route it to the other wallet that it's being sent to.
Right. That's interesting.
What was the initial conversation though pertaining to crypto about?
Yeah, we could actually
So,
go
like, I
back.
came in
We
late.
were on some interesting stuff before about like AI and then a whole bunch of interesting. Omnivore said he's going to be doing a master's program on AI, an AI master's degree, and it's the first time that this school has offered it.
Yeah, interesting. You should hook up with Dagon Omnivore.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Dagon's he's got a lot going on with AI right now. Yeah.
One thing from like 15 minutes ago or 20 minutes ago, probably, I was surprised to hear you say, Omni, that you don't think we'll have an AI government when, like, to me, that's like an absolute inevitability. Like, AI has essentially been around for like 10 years. They don't even have a master's program yet. So who knows where we're going to be in 100 years, but it seems inevitable that we will have an AI government.
Well, I also said, by some metrics, we might have an AI government right now, right? Depending on what you mean by it. Like, will we be voting for AIs? Like, I'll vote for GPT-7. No, I'm voting for Gemini 10. Or
Well,
will
no,
you
like how
be-
much of it now is humans and how much of it is computers, quote unquote, now, and then how much of it is AI? Aren't those all kind of separate? Human,
Yeah,
and general computers, and then AI is like kind of in its own category.
yeah. I mean, well,
I mean,
It's not really. I mean, we're talking like, oh, Oscar, what do you mean? Like, you mean the government actually like making decisions based, like an AI is making decisions, or
We already have that though. That's kind of like what Palantir does, bro. Like that. Elijah, you're breaking up. But yeah, that's what Palantir does, bro. That was like the whole purpose of Palantir was to provide like AI cohesion between all the branches of military.
Well, I would just think that. I mean, I would think the first thing we'll have is like a AI criminal justice system. Like, there's no need for a judge or for a jury. Like, when you can just have AI perfectly decide every case, and then from there you'll just have AI making military decisions, writing laws, so on and so forth. So, like, we probably won't be voting between this AI or this AI. At some point, we'll just vote an AI in, and that'll be the government until like the world ends.
there's,
whoa?
I, can you hear me?
mhm. Oh,
No, you're
Yeah.
breaking
I'm
up.
breaking up, or can you hear me?
You're still breaking up a bit.
How would they ever let that into power, though? Right? Because if you have an AI judicial system, they're cooked. Every politician, all the corruptness, anything, they're just completely cooked if they go up against an AI. There's
Dude,
no
Omnivore.
backdoor deals or anything.
Well, I mean, actually, like what Omnivore is saying is actually probably the most true is that they are already using AI, but maybe not for the reason he would say. I would say probably because behind the scenes they've probably been using it for decades.
Oh, yeah, I think so. Just to write
I-
shit into bills, like how to reword things and get around the legalities of things. I think they use it as a tool.
yeah. I don't. Oh,
Is
well,
this
they're certainly
better
doing
now?
it now. I don't know if they were. I don't think this has been around for 10 years, though. That you know.
Is
There's,
it better now? I want to say something.
yeah, you're good.
Yeah, yeah, you're
Okay.
good now.
Okay, so in the legal aspect, AI might be used by the criminal justice system for statistical analysis, probabilities, identification, behavioral things of that nature. There's all kinds of things AI will be implemented to use, but the replacement of a judge and a jury, I don't think the lawyers in this country would ever allow such a thing. You would have to have some fundamental shift completely in the minds of law, because law is not just the letter of the law. There's also the color of the law or the spirit of the law that has to be taken into account, which AI can't do.
I just remember like hearing something a while back. I don't remember the exact details, but like it was a study on the harshness of judges' sentences, like on petty crimes or something like that. And you would think that it would depend on like, okay, the location, how long the judge has been there, maybe race, maybe gender or something like that. But the primary indicator of how harsh a judge sentence was whether or not he had eaten already that day. So if he hadn't eaten lunch yet that day, he sentenced people who did crimes much harder. And something like that is just a human aspect. We're just like susceptible to our emotions. And once people realize, like, hey, emotions are, impacting a judge's decision much more than just the completely logical AI, I think people will gladly have the AI do it.
But Oscar, do you think AI could actually be used for good though, in like a government that was for good, but not calling it a government though at that point? But do you think it could be used like
I mean, I think
to
theoretically,
make things
I'm
like
not really.
to make things more efficient and get food to people and all kinds of good things?
I think like theoretically it could bring forth a utopia or something like that, but it also could just bring forth a dystopia. So I'm not really like commenting on whether or not I think it'll be good or bad. To me, it just seems inevitable that people will just like let computers make the decision because they do them better than humans.
Well, that's what I was saying before. Is like, do you guys agree that like in the future that everything is headed towards essentially is going to be like blockchain, along with a lot of other technologies as well. Obviously, all the AI stuff, but that like everything will be on blockchains. And if that's the case, like the whole government ends up like, meaning like your even like the deed to your house and all that stuff will all be digital and like potentially on like a smart contract, like a government smart contract thing. Who knows? But if it ends up if it's going that way, and that's kind of concerning because who's behind that, or and then with all the technology being developed out there, like if they don't shut it all down and it's still an open market where people can develop things, then there's the potential that there could be blockchains that at least are of a positive nature or even like honest and transparent and in a positive way. But how many of those will there be? How much funding will they have? All those questions are still, to be known just in terms of the unfolding of it all, in terms of like if they'll be able to compete. If there is a huge push from all the big media and government and everything to go towards one system, that's going to be where it's sort of like the whale comes and then the guys in the boat have to kind of like try not to get eaten by the whale, and because you're like the small guy in the pond, because they're gonna, if they do try to use their whole, well, if there is like what if they use like a threat or something? See, we don't know what might still happen, but like if they say there's some kind of threat and like for national security, like you have to go on a new digital system, who knows what it might be? But I mean, most of the people probably go with it anyways. So, but yeah, it'd be interesting if there's like a split where they try to do like a rug pull thing to get everyone on their system. But the thing is, if you're going to be on their system, then it's like, is it going to be like required vaccines and you get into all that stuff, all those possibilities, medical requirements. So I don't know. We'll see how it unfolds, but
Except it won't probably be vaccines. It'll be like medical nanobots you'll have to inject in yourself.
oh no. Your food will say like, now with added nanobots. Oh man.
They're delicious.
They're crunchy.
Well, I hope they make nanobot cigarettes because I don't plan on quitting anytime soon.
Lucky
All right,
Charms.
so Omnivore, what? Oh, go ahead. Someone else is jumping in.
I was just gonna say, Lucky Charms is conveniently introducing the purple nanobots along with the blue hearts and little diamonds and all.
Wait, you're saying they put nanobots in the dyes?
I'm kidding.
Oh my god. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. Nanobots. Well, Omnivore, like what would be like if you were able to help the world in the most positive way possible with possibly AI from your current viewpoint, what would that look like? And let's just, even if you want to extend that to like the funding's there to do what you need to do as well. If you want to take that level. If not, if you want to keep that out, you could just even just to what you're aiming for within the realm of realisticness of it all. Like I'm just saying like what would be like the ultimate
So
thing that you do?
I don't know how to, I mean, I don't know how to do this with AI right now, but I would want to improve the level of trust that people can have in each other. And one possible way to do that would be to have an extremely good system for synthesizing data. Now, you don't want it to have all of your private data because that feels kind of creepy. But essentially, something that would have a sort of neutral and unbiased view of how often a person had, for example, screwed over somebody they worked with, or I don't know, I guess you would need to put it in your own standards because you wouldn't want it to have its own standards of what a good person is. But something like that. Where right now, I think we have a amazingly low trust society, and in some ways that's good because it means you're less likely to be taken advantage of. But I don't think it should have to be that way.
Wait, are you saying an AI? Hold on, I know you're not saying this, but maybe you are. Are you saying like an AI that like tracks your life and then gives you like a moral report and is like,
well,
hey,
the idea would be that I can have these people I'm dealing with can be can decide or not to decide to be hooked up to it. Yeah, you wouldn't want to make it mandatory, but the idea would be, how do I trust you? Okay, how do I know I can trust you?
You're talking
And
about a social credit score.
well, not really, but I'm talking about like a opt-in,
a reputation ranking.
I don't know. What I'm thinking is, we have this really low trust society, and I'm not sure that's good. But yeah, I'm not enamored with the social.
Yeah, but what builds trust? Like, what builds trust? Reputation is one thing. What I mean is that what are the factors that build
that was
trust?
blockchain. That was the original blockchain's idea was transparency makes you more likely to behave because everyone can see what you're doing. So if Bob suddenly gets $1 million, it's like, what did Bob do?
Yeah, but some chains like Monero, it's all encrypted, so it's not.
Yeah,
really
yeah, because people learned really quickly that they didn't want.
But it shows that can exist. That's what's cool. Like with Monero, and Monero seems like it's been really suppressed by the powers that be. Probably it's been kind of, they were just like, get this one out of here. It's too. Anyways, that's a whole topic in and of itself. But it does seem like there's been some way in which it's been like delisted. They've tried to delist it and stuff, but because basically you can send and receive on Monero, and it's completely anonymous. Like no one knows who it came from and where it goes to, but you get it, and it goes. It'll get there, as it were. But it's completely anonymous because it creates like a random. The one that's public, it creates like a random key every time or whatever. So, and the way that it like does like this random mixing of it, the encryption with Monero. So, yeah, like if everyone was using Monero, then it would. But there's deeper questions because then it's like, okay, well then does someone have access to it though for like audit? And then like the thing you're talking about of like trust building and like consistency and like taking out errors and making sure there's accuracy and these kinds of things as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure, but I am right now. I'm more concerned about what AI will do that's bad for society than what it will do that's good. Like I suspect that we are in more danger of societal chaos from AI than we are from any kind of brilliant, utopia.
Why though? I mean, what's it really going to do? Like, I mean,
it could it could lay off all the coders. I mean, it's not there yet,
okay.
but I know people who are using it for document review. That's a lot
what we need
of people.
is we need a larger financial blessing because that would then allow for. Because yeah, like dude, ideally, like if people can just have money, like dude, they don't, and they like people don't really need to be sitting in front of computers coding all day. Ultimately, as a human race, like I mean, if we can have computers do that, isn't that just better at this point? And then those people can be out with their families and with their maybe playing catch with their son or out in the sun.
Ideally, yes.
You know what I mean? Like if, we can, and then he can still do something in the world or whatever. Like but dude, it just seems like if the powers that be were not just completely raking us of all of the of humanity, like it seems like even just if they like released all their abundance that they're keeping from us, we could people could probably work like 10 hours a week and everyone have abundance.
Well, if you can get there, then I think that's spectacular. Like that would be the good outcome.
10 hours a week, everyone has like as equal to like a $300,000 to $500,000 a year, job, a US dollar income type thing, like $500,000 a year. That's what everyone gets, and you work 10 hours a week. That's the equivalent, I'm saying, of what it would. That would be like
Dude,
the most.
since they've implemented the 40-hour week, the average worker's productivity has gone up about 400%. But the pay and the work hours is not reflecting that number. They're just keeping all the money. They're keeping all the
I told you,
productivity.
dude. I told you, dude. In I think it was like 1960 something, I don't know, 60 something. The base pay, fuck you call that again? Minimum wage was equivalent to 5 U.S. quarters, but the quarters were made of silver, pure silver, or at least 90%. I can't remember. Either way, point is, if you did the math on what the value of those 5 silvers amount to in today's value, that's $35. So essentially, minimum wage at that time was $35.
They said they
Does that make sense?
calculated They said they calculated
What?
that minimum wage, taking the food that you would consume and multiplying it by 3. That's how they calculated the minimum wage. And if you were to do that today, what number do you think you come up with?
You're saying I don't understand the question. I'm sorry.
They calculated the minimum wage by
When?
taking into account how much the food cost would be, and they multiplied
saying
that by 3.
Are you saying it back in the 60s? Is that what you're saying, or are you referring to today?
Yeah, when they first came up with the minimum wage, they only looked at the food, the diet. They didn't look at anything else. So they looked at the diet of the person, individual, or the family, and they would multiply the cost by 3, and there was your minimum wage. That's how they calculated, how they would come up with the minimum wage. But I'm curious if you would do that today, eating a healthy meal, not a meal from McDonald's or something. But if you were to do that today and eat healthy, how much do you think that would be?
That's at least $20. $20 a plate minimum. So what's that? $60.
Yeah, that's not enough for anything.
$60 an hour? That's not bad, bro. $60 an hour is pretty good money. I don't know what that works out to for a day. Let me do the math here. 60 times 8 is $480 a day, dude. After 50% of taxes taken out, you're looking at $240.
I'd take it.
240 a day, bro. I mean, I know illegals in front of Home Depot that are asking for a minimum of 200 to 300 a day. So, I mean, if I don't know, if they can do it, I guess I can. Do you realize that? That's the base standard for illegal under the table wages right now is minimum $200 a day, and I think most of them are asking 3.
Yeah, they 3 that was what I was experiencing, and that was a year and a half ago in Tennessee.
Yep. Well, I'm in California, dude. So yeah, it's a lot worse.
Well, a lot of your folks were moving to Nashville. It was a hot spot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was a mass exodus in California over the last fucking 10 years, dude.
But yeah, it was anything less. I mean,
I think what I
I'm
said
not. I'm
was
not. I'm not
prior
gonna
to
weld a
64.
pressure vessel. Right. I'm not gonna weld a pressure vessel for you. I'm not gonna weld something structural like a elevator that's gonna hold people, or even a car frame. But if you needed some farm or backyard welding done, I know I have enough knowledge of it. I get you through it. You know, I could prep steel though perfectly. I know how to cut, manufacture, fabricate, wood, also all that good shit. You know,
I could tack it all into place, dude. But yeah, I'm definitely not running a bead. I've got no experience with that. But there's plenty of people out there that do.
I could teach you.
Yeah, I'm sure I could learn it. TIG, MIG, art, the whole enchilada. But supposedly those guys make a killing and money. I mean, you start getting into underwater fucking welding. You're talking big bucks.
so you just most of the tradespeople that I know that are in their 30s or 40s, I mean, across the board, have a wide array of skills. Whereas the illegals that I've dealt with really are one trick ponies. They kind of stick to what they know. Yeah, it's I don't really like the idea of going to work for, you know, $200. I wouldn't. I'd like, no, I'm good.
That's a big problem too with the bigger corporations, like all the military yards. They pigeonhole all the workers into one task, and they just like try and get them to specialize in that one thing, whether it's welding, fabrication, electrical, even like something like electrical. They'll have them do, one of them sets hangers, so that's their primary job is like hanger locations and things like that. Another one will be running wires. They just pigeonhole people into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And then they don't have any
that's
real
the
skill.
it's the
Hey,
assembly line. I mean, because that's what it is.
Omnivore, you still at your mic?
Yeah.
Hey, just one more question. So, if along your journey within the AI that you're going to do, if along your journey you do come to the conclusion that the Earth is not a sphere and is planar and stationary, how would that change your outlook with the AI from there forward? That's the question.
So it would change. I don't know if it would change my mind about AI. It would change my mind about like all sorts of things, like how navigation works and how surveying and observation works and how mathematics works. I don't know if I have to think about how it would change AI, my views on AI. I mean, probably somewhere it would, but I off the top of my head, I don't I don't like know offhand.
Well, you were talking about also like the trust in information, and so like if there's something like the actual Earth itself that was able to be, the wool pulled over our eyes kind of thing, then would it bring into what you were talking about with the AI, like trust verification of
Yeah, well,
things?
yeah. So yeah. I don't think so. The problem that we have today is not caused by AI, and it's not necessarily going to be solved by AI. Like those problems are existing well before there was any before these current AI systems came out. And if anything, it's just going to make it worse because with very good AI tools, you'll be able to run highly effective like one-on-one persuasion campaigns, right? Like nobody can pay a ton of money to just persuade Bob of something. But an AI is not going to cost a ton of money to do a one-on-one chat with you to try to persuade you of something. Now, obviously, if you're talking to an AI, it's not going to work so well. But the idea that you could set these tools up to have a highly persuasive effect, uh, on like a personalized basis, just seems to me to be, that to me that sounds like a scary idea.
Yeah. No, you were getting to like that could be like a movie script right there.
Well, right
It's
now
like,
it's on the threat index. There are people looking at this stuff who, like there's some research papers on AI threat, and those things are on there. So
they use like a vote, they use like right out of a sci-fi movie, or they use like like an auditory focusing technology that can focus a sound right in front of your ear, and they focus an individual sound for each individual person, and it's like,
yeah, that sort of thing.
and it just like knows all these things about you, and it's just like this voice in your head now, and it's like, I know you feel tired today, or this or that. And it's like, wait a minute, how did you know that? It's like
Right,
this
well,
just voice, this sound in everyone's head, and it like knows things about them. And then all of a sudden, like the reality and fantasy of this like voice now. I mean, that's like a trippy movie plot right there.
Yeah, I mean, and unfortunately, the capabilities of that. I mean, obviously, that's like the tricked out version, but the the basic version is just I have an AI that's gonna hound you on Twitter, follow you on Twitter, and it's gonna try to build a relationship with you and then convince you to buy pizza. Whatever. I mean, that's like the low rent version of it. But, you know, Pizza Hut would, would probably pay for that.
Yeah, dude. Well, I've seen. I mean, they have like you can have like an AI friendship or whatever with these apps, or like a girlfriend boyfriend or whatever. Even though it's not, obviously, it's not really.
Yeah,
but-
right. Well, individual like AI companions.
Yeah.
I don't know how that. I know it's being done. I don't know how it works, but so the scientists that I know have a mixed opinion of Archive, ARIVX or whatever it is, where all the white papers are, because you can publish anything you want there, right? You can publish anything. So some of the stuff there is probably very high quality, and some of it is almost certainly not high quality.
Like archaeology and
Blockchain thing is I think now I forget what I was even saying. I think my point is like if there was an actual like blockchain that had some way to verify truth and experiments and tests and all those things. I'm just saying that like I know one idea is just depend on AI to verify it, but that's a huge problem. So like you then have to have humans that somehow are going through the information, or in some way, whether it's like community reviewed or there's experts that are reviewing it or something, because otherwise you could have, I mean, the blockchain itself can store the data and can allocate and can categorize and can keep things transparent and honest, but it's not going to validate whether the information is correct or not.
Here's how I envision it. All right. Just for simplicity's sake. Somebody says, oh, heat can boil hot water. They do the thing. Their evidence is in an NFT or in the chain or something, however you put the videos and all the evidence, right? And then someone else could be like, yo, I did it too, and it didn't work, or it did work. You know what I'm saying? And then you would either get, you'd get results that would be like, 500 people did it and it worked. 2 people did it and it didn't work or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how I kind of envision it happening.
I like that
Like
idea.
someone would make a claim, they'd have the experiment or the test or whatever the physical thing is, do it, record it, whatever their evidence is. And, we go from there. And then other people either, post their evidence of the physical demonstration of it, I guess, not happening. I don't know. People get their experimental setups wrong sometimes, and they get something happening that they think shouldn't, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, like, it happens.
Yeah. Maybe there's some sort of way to double check the algorithm, the procedure. But on that topic, do you guys think some topics are so advanced that it can't be articulated in a simple way that even someone completely outside of the field could follow the logic?
Yeah, I did that with GR earlier. I'm not a GR expert. I barely know anything about it. You don't have to know a lot about something though to see there's a problem.
Or follow along. Yeah, I agree. Like even the case of a medical doctor, let's say if they have all the technical jargon that people aren't familiar with, once they break it down and maybe walk someone through the process, I think it could be understood. I don't think necessarily there are things that are so advanced that everyday citizens couldn't get the gist of it.
There's not much you can do from just reading though. Like, you know what I'm saying? If I do a thing and then I write about it, I mean, I guess you could do that and people could either agree or disagree or something, but that's us. Now it's just a uh, consensus, appeal of consensus.
Yeah, I think that's why they go hand in hand for sure. Even
Like
Socrates talked about this.
if you have the
How
thing
words
where it's,
trap.
oh, sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead.
If you have the thing where it's like, I did it, here's the video of me doing it, here's all the whole setup and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have that, now you got, and then someone else does it and they're like, yep, I did it too. It works. Here's my setup. You know what I'm saying? And then you get a whole bunch of people doing it like we were doing with the cold moonlight. Shit like that. You know what I'm saying? People tweak their experimental setups. That's
Yep.
dope. I love science. Let's go science.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
Science
you
is
could
the
have some
ring.
really cool features in it as well, where like, let's say 5 different people all do moonlight tests during lunar eclipses, during quarter moon phase, half moon, full moon, etc., through the different phases at different parts of the night when the sun is at a different elevation angle, etc. Let's say they're all doing that and they're submitting their data. And let's say like 2 of them use a similar method, like maybe 2 of them use like water or something. They have like water that the thermometer is in or something, rather than the other guys had it in on a different material or something, or in a different material.
One guy uses a parabolic mirror to reflect the moonlight and a Fresnel lens, and one guy doesn't use the Fresnel lens. Yeah, dude, I love
Yeah,
it.
and that could all be like categorized, and then
It's
that could be
crazy.
put into and then those 2 out of the 5 that did it, like I was saying, those 2 who both used water or something like that, there would be like a unique way, and then that would be like a tag or like a resonance, and then that would be submitted, and then others could review that with their results as well. Like, okay, like you could come and be like, okay, here's 10 people that have done this before you. Here's what they did. Here's what they used, and then it could be like, what is your setup? And you could be like, well, my setup is this, and put yours at yeah, it'd be great.
Dude, that's so friggin' awesome, bro. I know you have all the videos. Yeah, you'd have it linked or something, right? I'd imagine you'd want like video evidence of everything. But if you're doing this moonlight thing, you just record what you're doing, you record your setup, you make a little 5-10 minute YouTube clip or however long it takes. I don't care if you're doing Cavendish and it's a 30-hour video clip, whatever. Post it post it on the thing we have, and then people can watch it, see what you did, tweak it, do the same thing, whatever. It'd be awesome.
Hey, I wanted to say something real quick. A while back, there was a discussion about how AIs work and how they think. And I don't know if the thing that I put in there, if the link I put in there worked, but they're not programmed to behave in a certain way. I just put a link in chat just now. So if somebody's curious about how they think, this is like one of the most recent examinations.
All right, thanks. What was that related to? Could you fill us in on what that you from a little bit ago? Thanks for the link, though.
Because people so they were saying that, talking about the whether or not your brain is deterministic. And
Okay.
I was like, well, what do you think about AIs? And then somebody said, well, they're programmed to behave in a certain way. And I said, no, that's not really how they work.
This is misleading.
Could you describe what you think? What your thought is then?
Well, Tio, what's misleading?
No, I'm just saying, if you're going to bring it up, do you want to give us like a minute or 2 rundown of how you think they do work, just so we can hear your side?
Yeah, I'm sorry for cutting you off. I just thought out loud.
Okay. Well, so they create what's called a transformer, and it's basically a neural network that's created through training with billions of words, and it creates this. It's called a multidimensional vector space, where each word has certain characteristics along a given vector and certain weights along that vector. And what it does, this is an extremely complicated setup, but what the training does is it gives it the capability to respond to things in a mathematically correct answer. What it means by mathematically correct is the odds of getting output. So when you say, "Hello, artificial intelligence, how are you?" the odds of getting a response, or the response will be mathematically similar in this vector space to what you would get on like Reddit if you posted that as a question, or if you say, how do I set up my moonlight experiment? It will give you what you get like from its training base, which is a lot of it's Reddit, a lot of it's just the internet, but also
Dude,
scientific papers. But it's
I
not
want to
just,
hear. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. If you want to finish, I will. If I just, well, dude, I want to. If you even want to repeat that, because that was even. If you want, just again, just so we all understand exactly. But let me just say one thing, dude. I used just let me just throw a little anecdote because I'm just kind of excited, just because it is what it is. I wanted to do some like macros, like key macros, and like certain like mouse click configurations and stuff. Like it was fairly simple, but it's for like a project I'm doing, and so I needed that. And it was fairly complex though, like, click here and then go there and then click there, like a whole thing. And, but it had to keep returning the mouse back to the original position. Anyways, dude, it was like, it's just for like auto hotkey, and it's like a code, like a script for auto hotkey. Anyways, I did it on ChatGPT, just, .com. And I was just, I told it what I wanted, and it got it wrong like 9 or 10 times in a row. It got it wrong, but then finally it got it right. And all I was doing was just being like, no, you still don't have it right. What it needs to do is this. And I'm just saying, dude, like what you're saying is interesting with the mathematical thing, because like it almost seems like if this is using some kind of mathematical thing, in my view, it starts to tap into like, basically the non-physical and the beyond. So to me, it's like that there could be, anyways, that's where the question of AI, could it do that? But that's a separate thing. Maybe we shouldn't go there. I'm just saying the mathematical nature of what you're saying, like it resonates, because it seems like it was like pooling what I needed in a way that, anyways. But yeah, it was just, I was pretty impressed with it. It's the first time I've really used ChatGPT, and I was just kind of asking like in a really simple, dumb way, like, hey, I needed to do this. And you know what I'm saying? It was pretty cool and pretty impressive.
So what they did was they took their AI, which is Claude, and they separated out some of the pieces of its neural network. So, and then because they're separated out, and they put connecting ports between them, connecting APIs between them, they can trace how it thinks. So when they ask it to add numbers, right, it says, what is 36 plus 59? The first thing that it does is it starts with like, what's 30-ish plus like 60-ish? And then it slowly, quickly, but over several steps, sort of narrows it down until it gets, to what it thinks is the correct answer. So that's not exactly how humans would work.
No, I hear you, dude. It's interesting. Definitely seems to have a role to play. Well, there's a lot of directions this could go. So real quick though, what do you think? Okay, well, how does it link into blockchain in any way? Is maybe a side thing, but if you want to continue on what you were saying about how
I mean, right now I don't think there's a direct comparison to blockchain, because those are just two very different things. But it definitely, so blockchain is all about saving state, right? Like everything that you do on a blockchain changes the entirety of the blockchain using a one-way cryptographic algorithm, so that you can't roll it back. You can't just take things out of it and then or change data in it and have it not be apparent. If you change something on the blockchain, try to corrupt it, they'll figure that out. So AIs have a very interesting state concept. And it used to be that you just had a certain token window and then it would revert to its original state. That's no longer true for different ways that they've set them up. So, they're entirely different concepts, but the way that an AI maintains its state is getting more and more complicated, especially now that we have AIs training other AIs. I just put in there something where they give it a rhyming couplet. And he saw a carrot and had to grab it. And then they ask it for the next line in the rhyme. And it comes up with a number of different responses to it. But these have different, there's different approaches.
Okay, so is that?
Mhm.
Sorry, no, I got you though. Yeah, there's like it's making like several passes at it. So do you think like in a way that's what was happening when I'm describing this auto hotkey script that I needed?
Yes.
Like it kept refining it in a way, and it kept kind of being
Yes. Now, generally, it only has a certain window where it can maintain its memory because if you're paying, you'll get much more. If you're not paying, they don't give you full run of their server to do that. But yeah, it does. It is definitely refining it, and it has a concept of trying to figure out what it did wrong or what you didn't like about it, which is why you can bully the AI into giving it answers kind of closer to what you want.
Thank you,
because
Omni.
I was responding. I was responding with like almost is what I would say. My first word, I would say almost, period, and then I would say what and then I would just describe basically like. Every time because like I said, this was basically, it's not really that complex. It's just mouse and click, but it actually is kind of complex though. Cause I wanted, one of them to be where I can cycle through the macro. Like I can push the button 1, 2, 3 times and it does 3 different things and it cycles through them. And after each one, it goes back to the original place. The mouse does. So yeah, it's like a macro where you can go 1, 2, 3, and each time you click it, first it does sequence 1, and then you click it. The next time it does sequence 2, and then sequence 3, and then back to sequence 1, back to sequence 2, etc. So it's kind of complex, like probably more than I'm not aware enough of all the auto hotkey code to like have figured that all out myself. Probably would have taken a lot of time, and I was already in the message boards, and I was going and I was searching and trying to like look for code the way I've done it in the past, and I was like, you know what? I'll just go to ChatGPT, and within like 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, it had it solved. And then I was like, wow. So yeah.
So some of what they do is super impressive. And they do a good job of simulating, what we would recognize as creativities. I mean, you can say they're not creative, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that philosophically. Because I don't know what human creativity truly is. Like I'm not prepared to make a
human creativity is mathematical.
No, I don't know. I don't think so. But when if you don't know anything about the workings of these,
because this is mathematical.
It is, yes, yeah, it is. But I said it's simulated.
So then that's where human creativity would be different. If human creativity,
right. So I don't disagree with that. Right. If you tell me it's creativity, it's what it does for creativity is different than what a human does, I 100% could agree with that. But if you tell me the way that it's completing that rhyming couplet isn't creativity, or the pictures you make with Midjourney aren't creativity, I gotta disagree with that. Like the pictures that Midjourney creates are.
I'm with Omni on this one. It's got like its own unique way of like creating things. It'll come to conclusions that a human just wouldn't.
Yeah, but isn't that like the mathematical compilation part of it, of all the stuff humans have done? Because it's pulling everything from humans, like it's really, if you say, make me a jail cell with birds in it or something, whatever it is, if you do that, it's going to make it knows what a jail, all that stuff because of humans. So it's taking like this kind of huge, like collective mind of humans in a way, and the thoughts and emotions, all of that, and all the imagery and all the artwork, and then like applying this mathematical way of collating it in a way that now is new because it hasn't been collated in that exact way, because the mathematical and the computer systems perhaps allow that to happen at an accelerated rate at which, versus humans doing that more slowly.
It's
doing
definitely
it.
limited. It's limited compared to the humans, though. I've tested this. I've asked it to actually create a flat horizon from space, and it won't do it. It won't even do. So that was my question for Omni. Do you think the State Department is using AI as a part of the defense program? And how would they gatekeep State Department information?
So the way that they're using AI is, I mean, not I don't have inside knowledge, but from what I've seen, it is usually for things like coordination. So, for example, if you want to have a set of drones perform a search pattern, or they're looking for something, or looking for targets, you can have the AI control those drones, and it can do at least as good a job and possibly a better job than a human operator.
And then and then that's why combining it with blockchain, because blockchain has the capacity to do transactions at a faster rate than anything else, and to keep everything collated in that fashion. Well, so Omnivore, how can AI and blockchain be used together in this truth validation platform that we're talking about? That's really what to get.
I don't know. So
It's with the State Department, they're not going to just allow state secrets, all truths to be released.
what? True, but I don't know if that applies. I mean, neither of those are controlled by the State Department.
Information.
No, they're going to be using AI in all their evil military stuff. There's no question. Yeah. So, but I'm talking about how to use it. I'm talking about how to use it in positive ways.
Well, I mean, so AI has certain capabilities. So first off, AI is faster than humans, just because computer, silicon is faster than human wetware. So you can do things with them, and they can synthesize data much more greatly. So the failure of attempted communism has first and foremost been one of the weakness of, or the evilness of men. But even if people had good ideas, we can't run a centralized economy. We're just not. We haven't shown that we're capable of doing that. It's been tried.
Well, they're going to make an AI government. Do you agree or disagree?
I mean, I agree to an extent. To an extent, they may have already done that, but I don't think at some point we're going to be voting for an AI. I just doubt. So, but yeah, we're going to have cases where when a bill is created, the first draft is going to be created by AIs. People are going to look through it and try to tweak it. And it's going to get to the point where eventually the first draft is as good as the humans can get it. And then we've got an AI government, whether or not humans or AIs are running the show.
Well, there's kind of two stretches of this conversation. One of them would be like, I guess the more, governmental or, authority, police, government, etc. level of AI stuff, or even military, or like other ways that it could be used, even propaganda or for deception or all kinds of, because people are going to be going to these things more and more in the future. Than the information they're giving is probably going to be some truth and some non-truth. And so who's really validating that? And that's kind of why we were talking before about, would there be a way to build a platform where it could actually be based on truth and transparency and honesty, and like an actual honest peer review system, rather than a corrupt one? Because they're probably already using AI in peer review. What do you know about that?
Well, there's AIs that synthesize technical papers that go to archive and synthesize all of that, and it's pretty good. I mean,
and people are going to just go off those in the future. They're probably not going to even go off the original papers anymore. So stuff like that,
So, I mean, maybe. So, the scientists that I know have a mixed opinion of archive, ARIVX or whatever it is, where all the white papers are, because you can publish anything you want there, right? You can publish anything. So some of the stuff there is probably very high quality, and some of it is almost certainly not high quality because anybody can put anything they want there. So I don't think that people are just going to go from a synthesis of all of that to make their decisions. I don't think consensus is as prevalent as you guys do, or as some people here do. I have a different view on that. So I don't know. I'm not really sure, but I do think that because it can synthesize a lot of information together, at very least you might be able to use them to find contradictions in those papers. That could be interesting. Or statistical clusters that the AI might be able to figure out looks like fakery, or data that for whatever reason doesn't appear to like it was naturally occurring.
Dude, do you think we could like take a bunch of really detailed readings of the environment, measure the way the light is moving over distance, and get real results, put those into an AI, and then once you have thousands of those, the AI could then collate a prediction based on the correct shape of the Earth and the correct way refraction works, and might even be able to then, you could give it in the future, you could say, here's my conditions, what will the refraction be? And it may actually be accurate.
I don't think you can do it with a public one. No way. It's going to work on rewards.
So you can train your own AIs. So there are free model AIs, and some of them are very good, where you can do the training yourself. How you would train it for that set of data, I am not sure. I don't know enough about that. But you can there's like Llama 3 and stuff that are very good AIs where you can do the training yourself.
Yeah.
You know Hammer Eyes?
Who?
Hammer Eyes?
Hammer Eyes. Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really an expert in this.
Yeah,
from what I understand.
Yeah.
Like he's been working in it. He's really.
I'm
so you're not. Do you work in it?
Masters. I'm pursuing a master's in it right now.
In what?
AI data.
Oh wow.
That's a master's now. God, even things have changed since I did my graduate school. Like I did mine in what was it, like pretty much like 2006 to 2008. And back then, dude, like there was no option to do AI master's degree. I mean, not back then.
This stuff, I don't know how. So the courses start in August, and it'll be the first master's course for the school that they've done. And I don't know how they can make a syllabus and it doesn't change every 2 weeks. So I have yet to figure out how they think they're going to do that.
Yeah, it's constantly emerging.
Is this at like a fully accredited grad school, or what kind of school?
Yeah, it is. Yes.
Okay.
So Omni, I have a challenge for you. No pressure. Right now, I can't actually get AI to create a flat horizon from space, and a photorealistic one anyways. Do you think that's the State Department protecting the citizens from AI?
No, I don't. I doubt it. No. I mean, what AI are you trying to get to do it?
Because let's say if AI. Yeah, I've tried it many times. If anyone here wants
what
to
AI are you talking about using? Which one? What service?
Well, I've started with ChatGTP Plus, and it won't do a concave horizon from space, like a high elevation. It'll do it from Earth, and maybe like 100 feet or 200 feet. But when you get to high elevations, like the atmosphere, it won't, for me anyways, produce
Put your prompt into the chat.
I did. Okay, I'll post it again. And I have a theory that it's the State Department protecting the citizens, because let's say if Chat AI creates one that's photorealistic, it might go viral, and then they have to deal with that. But I'll post it one moment.
So Omnivore, sorry. So you have a bachelor's, basically, you're saying, and then this is your first master's?
Science, yes.
And then are you doing the master's at the same school? If you care to share.
No, it's at a different school, but.
Yeah. And then you sought them out because you wanted to specifically. Now, if you want to get if you want to be in AI, like, is that okay? Someone like Hammer Eyes, like he probably doesn't have. Well, okay, I don't know what degrees he has or whatever, but he may be in it, or someone who's an expert in the field. You're saying that like you don't really. I mean, you haven't shared whether you do or don't have expertise in or have worked in the field or not. But I'm just saying either way. Now there's like just I mean, how long have these master's programs been around? Is it pretty recent?
They're pretty
So-
new. Yeah, they're very new.
So you might be one of the first people that has one of these if you go through the whole program.
Well,
That's
I'll be
pretty
the
cool.
first one from this school to have them. I don't know. I was looking for a certification for AI, like like a Microsoft certification or something that would be universally respected, or as close to it as you could get. And I didn't find one that I liked. So then I started looking around at schools, and I found out that the school had a master's program. I was like, oh, that sounds good. If I have a master's from this school, and it's a well regarded school, then I should be able to work in AI. And so I talked to them, and they were like, yeah, this will be our first class.
Wow, that sounds pretty cool, dude. Because it sounds like it'll be like probably just like, I mean, like a lot of fields. There's a lot of like outdated stuff. Basically, what I'm trying to get at, there's a lot of like outdated stuff in a lot of fields. But in that one, like it's gonna be cutting edge. Like you're gonna be just cooking. I mean, I don't want to be boring. Like it's not gonna be outdated. Like it's gonna have to be.
I hope you're right. I hope that it's not like that stuff is all back from August, and things
that would be a concern. They could be behind. Do you know? Oh, you don't know because the very first time the program's been done.
This is the first one. I'm talking to the counselor in a couple of days. I've already been accepted, so I'm going to ask how they, like what's the cutoff time in where they prepared the material, because they set up the classes. So what happens with innovations that are still ongoing? Like how many months behind? That's like one of my questions. So
right, how many months behind? Yeah, exactly, I know. Are they on Windows 10 or Windows 11? I know. Not that those two are really even that different, but I guess 11's a bit
no,
better.
but I mean it's so trying to do like RAG augmentation, which is where you tell it to look in your own little vector space of answers before it goes to its training base, so that it can answer questions about like your specific company or your specific thing. Then so Eden, I just want the text from your chat. Just post that in. So what was I saying? The
You were saying that you want to use AI to show that the Earth is a stationary plane to the world.
well, I'm asking. So he wants a picture of it. I'm gonna ask Midjourney. I want to see what his text is. He posted a bunch of stuff, but I don't know if it's the same. I don't know what the full prompt was. So, I'm trying to.
Yeah, maybe you can come up with your own prompt. I'll post what I've tried, and maybe someone else, if they have access, they can try to recreate a flat horizon.
You want a high altitude shot of the Earth that shows the horizon as flat,
completely flat, and maybe even concave, just for fun and photorealistic.
Dude, I bet another thing we could use AI for is go on different parts of the Earth and measure physical distance between two spots that you're actually physically measuring. That would be ideal. So it's just completely verified. Even though, like, I mean, you could maybe do like laser range finding and then like leapfrog it. I don't know. There could be options that would be, but nonetheless, like if you knew your distance, and then just take a really good video of the sky, and then go to another location, and just keep doing that as many times as you can. Just distance. Sky, distance, sky, distance, sky, distance, sky. And then put all that into the AI. Well, you wouldn't even really need to use an AI for that, but you put it all in, and it all is either going to fit coplanar, or it would actually have to fit on a sphere if it was a sphere. It would essentially be verifying the sky part of what Stellarium says, but actually matching it to the correct position on the ground. Not just the little graphics Stellarium has. That's where Stellarium has the accurate sky locations, the hemisphere of sky, but the ground is obviously just a graphic. That's the thing that's in contention. Anyways, that's kind of a separate topic, but anyways, I was just thinking those things.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that's cool, dude. If you're going, you're going to look into, doing the AI program. That's pretty interesting. Yeah, man. I don't know. I've always thought the AI is very interesting and probably could be used. I mean, my little experience recently was, it was not like that was like mind blowing. I mean, it's kind of cool to experience it because I hadn't really done that before. Where, I mean, it was literally to this point. I needed to figure this out. I knew what I needed it to do. I know about auto hotkey and stuff. It's been around forever, and there's all these scripts and stuff. Well, I knew what I needed it to do, so I was typing that in. I was going and I was doing searches, and I was just going to all kinds of threads and all kinds of pages of other people asking questions and posting their code, and then someone would respond and say, "No, here's the right code," and then someone else would say, "Here's the tweaked code." And anyways, and I'm going through that, and I'm trying to like modify it for and I'm trying to figure it all out, and then halfway through that, I realized there's a version 1 and a version 2 for AutoHotkey. Who knew that? Okay, now I know that. And like there's completely different code for version 1 and version 2. And apparently when I first downloaded it, I got version 2, of course, or whatever. So yeah, so then I had to figure that out, that it's like different coding, because I was getting all these errors. It was just ridiculous. Yeah, but anyways, but I still couldn't even get everything, even though I had it somewhat working. I had parts of it working, but not all of it. And then that's what I said. I went to ChatGPT, and then, like I said, within 10, 20 minutes, basically just had it completely solved. Because yeah, it's like ChatGPT was able to actually tap into the auto hotkey code, because there were parts of the code that I didn't have in there. That anyway, so yeah, it was able to tap into that and just get all the right code and put it all in all the right order. So, anyways, I'm just saying that is pretty like that. Like, I'm just saying, compared to like if I didn't have ChatGPT, I still would have probably figured it out, but it might have taken me a lot longer, and I just would have had to look deeper into it, and figure out the code. Like, I would have gone right into the auto hotkey documentation if I needed to, and just go to and just get it. But anyways, I'm just saying this. But that would take a lot longer to go into the code and learn it myself. So yeah, it's just an example of how like the way that it exists. To me, it was just like a turbocharged kind of thing that got something done in 10 or 20 minutes that might have taken me who knows how many hours.
Yeah, no, it's I know plenty of high end professional coders who are using AI as like, I'm going to write this big SQL statement. I'll use my first go at it with a AI draft. So
So they don't even know how to code. They just use AI to write code for
no,
them.
no.
Then...
These are high end guys. These are very good guys, but they have discovered that they can feed the database map, the database description into the AI and give it a good human definition of what they want the statement to do. For some of these, like a 6-page SQL statement is going to be freaking tough for for any human to fully, your short-term memory is usually not enough for 6 pages of code.
How can the AI figure out? Sorry, I thought you were done. How can the AI figure out how to figure out GEO's auto hotkey problem, but can't figure out to just pull a calculator up if you want to know 36 plus 47 or whatever he's...
Because so it does figure that out, but it doesn't. It's not using a calculator for any of that. Would it figure?
Why?
Because
why would you not do it?
Because that's not how it works. So there's the difference between agents, AIs that can do things like look up things on the web, and the classic AIs that don't look things up on the web. It's a common
What are those
misconception.
called? Which ones are those?
Large language models. Just the initial ChatGPT, maybe even the current ChatGPT, does not have the capability to go look something up on the internet. Either it's trained with it or it wasn't.
Okay, so could you just give the categories? Which one? Okay, so ChatGPT is one that. Could you just describe that again? That does not have the online.
So I don't know about the latest versions. I don't want to try to speak to because I'm not sure how the most recent ones are set up. But a little bit back, a few weeks ago, or last year, or whatever, the way that most of the AIs were set up, they did not have the capability to go out and do things. They could. So if I said, I want you to tell me what all of the baseball scores were from last night and which team improved its record the most, they could not go out and get that information and then run it
until the LLM is updated.
Yeah,
whereas the AI overview for Google will just tell you the score for last night's ball game.
Okay, so which ones, Omnivore, are some of the biggest ones that do have the online access like that? Like just a couple names.
Google. Google.
No,
Their AI
Gemini.
overview.
Well, Gemini is the one that it is the name of their AI, but no, I don't know if the
That's
AI
looking stuff up.
overview. I don't know about that. I'm not prepared to say that. I know that it
The
gives
AI
you
overview.
yes.
Is that
You could
using
get
Gemini? Is that the same Gemini that?
It's Gemini. Well, I think the back end of the AI overview is Gemini, but I don't know that for a fact. However,
Well, wait. Google definitely is Gemini, right? So, because like I know on my phone I have like a Samsung, and it has like it has a Samsung one, and then it also has like the Gemini one, right?
right.
Is it the same one you're talking about? So the AI overview thing, I mean, is that fueled by Gemini? Is that what Jeremy's saying?
I don't know. They're both Google, so my assumption is yeah, but I don't know for a fact that the Google AI overview is a direct cut of Gemini. Like it might be a version of Gemini. I don't know. I'm
Well, the
not
one
sure.
that can't access the
It
internet
says
is
it says right here, the first search I did, Google also announced that AI overviews are now powered by Gemini 2.0, and
Yeah,
that
okay.
AI overviews are now available for blah blah blah. So yeah, it's
Okay,
Gemini
so it is
2.0.
powered by Gemini. Yeah, that would be my assumption. However,
so
you got to
that's one that
remember.
can access the internet.
So Jeremy, keep in mind that all of Google's data is already in its data set. So if it's trained on Google data, it may not have today's data. It may or may not, but it will definitely have everything that it had 3 days ago. Because they already have all of that search data in their databases.
Well,
What are
how
you saying?
often
They're
is it
updating.
updated?
That's what
Because
I
like
was
you
going
can,
to ask.
yeah, you can find stuff in
Instantly,
a-
instantly.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean, but training is not instant. Training takes time.
I know, but
So,
this was the difference between one that can or can't access the internet,
well,
right?
if it's accessing the internal database that Google has, it's not doing a search. When you ask it for something, it's not doing its own
This is
search.
pulling it. This is pulling it off of Google's. I mean, that almost is the internet, though, dude. Like,
Well, look, I'm talking about a very fine distinction. Okay, yes, if you want to consider both of them the internet, which is not nutso. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's pulling it right
obviously
off of Google's servers, basically.
it
Any
might
only
be.
stuff that just Google has already on their server. So
Yeah,
when a baseball game happens and people are uploading it instantly to Google, whatever, it instantly has access to that.
well, it may or may not because it's not training instantly, and I don't know if it's searching the most recent. I don't know if it's searching. You'd have to ask Google AI for overviews of what happened yesterday,
You can
and
ask
if it
Google AI on how Google AI works.
well, you could ask it for something that's like give me all the news from the past 3 hours,
Well,
or give me an analysis of the news.
I was listening to
From
a lot of what you guys were saying just now, and the fact that they let AI train off Reddit is ridiculous. For one, I just want to say that right off the rip. It's another scary thing is you have AI training AI. That's like a plot out of iRobot. Uh,
yeah, you're not the only one who thinks that.
there's a bunch of issues.
all right. So
Uh,
Omnivore, well, do you have a
so deep
response?
research,
Because
the one
I
I'm looking, deep research is the one that is my would be my pick for. So Grok 2 can do deep research, where it can access things on the internet and pull them together and make like a report on them.
Yeah, dude, that's what I'm saying. So if we had an AI that was able, like, if we had like thousands of submissions of observation and data, like I said, of the environment, like the conditions, that's what I'm saying. That could be used like for like actual like observations of either even of the sky as well, like of a cosmological nature. But like
Oh,
the one I
Perplexity's
said
deep
of
research. That's it. That's it. So Perplexity's deep research is one of the ones that can go out and do searches. It's got an agent function.
so what okay, there's a lot of avenues this conversation can go, but could I just ask, like, do you have any thoughts on where, like, do you have a general direction of what, like, where you want to ultimately apply it towards, or,
I
you
don't
know,
know.
like,
Things are going to look so different in a year. My what I would probably look is the financial sector use of AI. That would probably be my my first stop.
okay,
But
what kind of financials? What kind, like,
so
prices of
finance
things, or accounting, or banking, or
well
what?
financial services, so like banking and investing and things like that. They deal with a ton of like billions of transactions a day, and all of that's like a waterfall of data that they struggle to completely understand and to roll up on accurate reports and things like that. This is a real challenge, and for a lot of very specific reasons, and the stakes are high. If you let somebody transfer money to Osama bin Laden, you will be, fined or broken up by the government. I mean, you'll be hit with, billions of dollars of fines and all sorts of things. So there's it's high stakes. There's a lot of eyes on it, and most of their data landscapes are not great. So, one of my particular skills is data organization. Ontology is not ontology like the philosophy discipline. It's on data ontology, and most places don't have complex, accurate, up to date data ontologies. They that it's hard to do. Every time you launch a new application, something is changes. Gradual trends in industry can change the semantics. Like what a credit card is used to be just a piece of plastic. Now you have virtual credit cards. You have credit card accounts that can have virtual numbers or plastic. You can have white label cards where there's a company backing them, but then like Home Depot is issuing the card. So a lot of that has changed, and in order for your data landscape to change with it, you have to be plugged into a lot of things that could be fairly subtle. Like how is a virtual card different from a plastic card? Well, in usage, obviously I can't hand you a virtual card, but I can read you the number off my phone. But anyway, stuff like that. There's going to be little differences that may not be in your thing, and AI can certainly solve a lot of that if you can explain to it, train it on how to properly examine what's in these often extremely scattered and fragmentary databases. I don't know if that made any sense, but that's my thinking.
All right. So what would, like, the what would like kind of the summary of that, like, solve? Like, what would the summate, like, what would it solve?
Well, it would be very valuable to these companies for a variety of reasons, including protection from making a mistake, to better understanding what the customer base or what's going on in the world, or when they launch a new application, making sure it has all the right data, stuff like that. So that would be highly useful to them. But in terms of like how it would make the world in general a better place, I don't know the answer to that. I'm not sure that financial services are, I mean, they serve a need, but it's, also it brought us 2008. So, hopefully it could prevent that.
Did you know that in the 2008 crash, is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
So that was when that happened. Saturn and Neptune were 180 degrees from each other. That's kind of like the full moon position for Saturn and Neptune, 180.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are in the conjunction, which means Saturn and Neptune are now right next to each other in the sky. They're conjoining. And meaning that's like the new moon kind of analogy. So now Saturn and Neptune are in the same. So I'm just saying the 2008 was the opposition, 180 degrees. And then just like right now, it's actually kind of a long transit. It's a conjunction. It's a Saturn Neptune conjunction. It's going to be going for a couple years, and it's already come in. But I'm just saying we're in the next major cyclical alignment since that 2008. So could there be another event that would be the next unfoldment of that? There was also an alignment with that in 2008 that was actually connected to the same alignment that happened during the Great Depression as well, and they were calling it like the biggest crash since the Great Depression. Anyways, this one that we're in now is not necessarily the Great Depression alignments, but it is a Saturn Neptune, which was also going on in 2008. So, yeah, could all be.
I mean, well, it doesn't seem so I don't know about that, but I guess it would explain what's going on with the stock market right now if it, or unless you would expect it to do the opposite of what it did in 2008.